Well, 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 today is about to get very, very interesting because we are now officially 1 month away from E3. Now, typically, the Electronic Entertainment Expo is a time of extreme hype. People are just so excited about every single little tidbit, morsel, leak, trying to figure out what exactly we're going to be playing for the next year. But this year is a little bit different, mostly because a lot of the major game studios and even Sony themselves have officially declared that they're not even going to bother to show up. But even still, I want to talk about it. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today is Top 10 Thursday. And what I wanted to try and do was look at a lot of the different rumors and stuff going around to try and make what I think are some accurate guesses as to what we're about to see. So these are my picks of the top 10 predictions for E3 2019. Number 10. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It seems like a lot of people sort of forget that these games even exist, but they're actually fantastic. These are Star Wars games that take place truly in a galaxy far, far away in a time long, long ago. They're even prequels to the original Star Wars movies. But more than that, they're fantastic. They are super good RPGs down to the very core. And what I find interesting is that lately, there have been some rumblings that they're currently hard at work at a new KOTOR game. Knights of the Old Republic may very soon live again, and I honestly believe that there's a great chance that they could come out on stage and actually show us some art or some gameplay or some story elements to remind us why KOTOR is truly the best Star Wars game. Number 9. Harry Potter. Now, you may have heard some stuff a couple months ago about some sort of theoretical Harry Potter game. There was even some gameplay that was beginning to circulate on the internet, which got completely burned off. I mean, you can't find this anywhere now, and I'm not even allowed to show you a screenshot. But what's kind of crazy about it is that very clearly it was a PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2 project. It had particle physics and graphics that could not exist on current hardware. And that's part of the reason that I actually think that we're going to see it this year, is because typically, right before the next console generation starts, we begin seeing games for it. Now, we don't usually know it at the time, but think about something like Watch Dogs. That was a next-gen experience, we just didn't know it yet. And I actually think that they're about to try and do that again with Harry Potter. They're going to plant the seeds as to what the vision could hold, what the future could be, and seriously, what the limits of magic absolutely can be, and we're all going to freaking love it. Number 8. Perfect Dark. There's projects that come along every so often that to me are super, super fun, but nobody else likes. And honestly, the last Perfect Dark was one of those. It seemed like a lot of people thought that this was a complete dumpster fire, but to me, it was at least unique, and I definitely thought that it was beautiful. But now, it's been long since dormant. But that may not be the case. So there have been some major leaks as to the fact that somebody over at Microsoft is trying to bring this back. And they may actually have a lot of the really creative people behind Gears of War working on the project. Is this true? Is this false? Is this real? Or is it just smoke and mirrors? We're not really sure, but I totally believe that we will get a concrete answer at E3. This could be their chance to actually say whether or not this is real, and personally, I believe it is. I think that there is a huge chance that we're going to see this, and it's going to be the next-gen Xbox shooter, because right now, Microsoft is leaning into it. They could have Gears of War, Halo, and a new Perfect Dark to try and wow us with the next generation. Number 7. The Evil Within 3. Now, this is one that's going to be much more speculative because we don't really have any solid evidence that this even exists, but we have heard some clues that seem to hint that this could be something that is currently in development, which is a new sequel in the amazing Evil Within saga. Now, each one of these games has actually been very, very different, but something to me that's always stuck in the back of my mind as being a bit odd is we got actually a pretty good amount of DLC for the original Evil Within, and then obviously we got the Evil Within 2, which was amazing, but we never got any follow-up content for EV2. So I've always kind of thought that there's a good possibility that the development team has actually moved on, and now they're hard at work making a full blown freaking sequel, and I want that so freaking badly. This could be epic, it could be huge, and honestly, I want to see that practically more than anything else when it comes to the horror genre right now. Number 6. The Avengers Project. Now, what exactly this is still a little bit ambivalent. It's a little bit out there, but it sounds like currently Square Enix is grinding away trying to make some sort of giant, flashy Avengers game. Now, we don't really know what this is going to look like or how it's going to play, if it's going to be a third-person game or some sort of action-adventure or maybe an RPG, but we do know that it is currently very seriously in development. And personally, I think that what they're going to try and do this E3 is really give us a huge info dump. Now, what's kind of crazy about this year, and what does got me excited despite the fact that some people are missing E3, is the fact that they are actually going to be doing a huge presentation by Square Enix. They have actually bought a huge chunk of the floor in a primetime slot during the press conference to basically get as many eyeballs on their content as possible. So I fully believe that we're going to get a chance to see some crazy Avengers combat and hopefully something a bit more, which I'll tell you about in a second. Number 5. Animal Crossing. So this year obviously has been a very big success for the Nintendo Switch. They are selling a ton of these consoles. They're flying off store shelves. But to me personally, I've been a little bit unsatisfied with the amount of Nintendo games coming out. Like right now we're getting some great ports from Final Fantasy and stuff like that, but I want to see more stuff by Nintendo themselves. Their first-party projects are typically the biggest and best things that come to their consoles, right? Well, I have heard some stuff that it sounds like very, very soon we could finally see some real crazy evidence and everything about Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is great, but to me, where it shines brightest is in handheld format. The games like New Leaf, or just the earlier ones, I think that as a handheld, it is even more addictive and even more cutesy, and I just want to see a ton of stuff on it. And I think that E3 is definitely the opportunity for them to come out and say, hey, this is what Isabelle's been up to. Hey, this is what we're going to be collecting. Hey, this is why it's still fun to be a mayor. And personally, I am so ready for it. Number 4. Starfield. When it comes to Bethesda as a studio, they like to try and space out their announcements, especially the major ones. Like, the time between a typical showing of a game and when you play it is normally a pretty big gap, and it's because, in general, Bethesda likes to make their games very, very slowly. They actually work on stuff in a very detail-oriented style, and lately, they've kind of been making some major mistakes. Elder Scrolls Blade was pay-to-win trash, of course, Fallout 76 was a legendary dumpster fire, but beyond this, I think that they are trying to very much keep fans happy. They're afraid of actually turning away their own diehard fan base. And I think that what they're going to do this year at E3 is finally reveal their giant secret project Starfield. Now, they have obviously mentioned that it exists, but not much more than this. So I think that what's going to happen is we're probably going to see a huge chunk of gameplay. I would actually predict that what we're going to get is a full stage demo where we actually see someone with a controller walk out and just play Starfield for like 20 minutes, giving us an opportunity to see how this is different. Right now, Bethesda is very much just getting crapped on by everybody because of their constant repeated errors. And this could be a chance to basically have them come out on stage and go, hey, we messed up, we acknowledge that we messed up, and we want to make things right. And I would just think that this would be a good opportunity to win all of us over, myself included. If Starfield is epic, I'm going to be right back on the Bethesda hype train. Number 3. The Final Fantasy VII Remake. So earlier I was saying about how there's actually going to be a huge press conference just dedicated to Square Enix and really try and unveil all the secret projects they've been working on, and I honestly believe that the main crux, the main primary focus of their entire presentation is of course going to be the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's possibly going to be their biggest and most ambitious game ever. It's probably going to sell 80 billion freaking units, but beyond this, I think that they realize that they have been silent too long. wrong. Okay, so after their initial teaser trailer back in 2015, we've seen almost nothing other than about 6 screenshots and about 14 seconds of gameplay. In all of these years, it is beginning to make people grumble that the game may be having issues, or very likely that it could be cancelled, and they're afraid to admit it. Look, I love Final Fantasy VII. It's actuality, this is my favorite game of all time, which is why I even imported the soundtrack from Japan. I want to see this, but beyond that, I want the game to be good, I want it to be special, and I want it to have an opportunity to win over new fans to make this an even more successful title. It is a story that I think that everybody could easily fall in love with, but they really need to come out and just freaking show it. Number 2. Xbox reveals. Most of the stuff throughout this video I've tried to base very hardcore on specific rumors and leaks to try and basically pinpoint what I think is the most accurate predictions as to what could happen next month. But this one, I kind of need to just go off into crazy town because we're not exactly certain what could happen, but I do actually believe that we will see not one, but 2 separate next-gen Xbox at E3. Now the reason I think this is because I think that Microsoft is trying to expand. They're trying to do their best to actually dominate the market, and one of the ways they're doing this is through diversification. They actually want to try and have multiple tiers, a cheap Xbox, an expensive Xbox. I think that what they're going to try and do is have like a $500 super ultimate crazy edition of the Xbox 2, and also a cheap version that's maybe $300. And I think the reason they're doing this is that they want to try and win people back. Right now Microsoft is very much behind, but they're winning back some very good press. Some good articles are being written about them. More people are actually picking up the really cheap Xbox Ones. And I think that when they go into E3, they're going to try and slam it out. They're going to try and blow our minds with just games, announcements, and then, of course, the coup de grace, the piece de la resistance, will of course be multiple Xbox 2s. Is this just a guess? Yeah, but I do think that it is very, very possible. Number 1. Resident Evil 3 Remake. Okay, now I'll fully admit that I'm putting this on here just because of my own personal love for it. Right now, one of my very favorite games of the entire year has been the RE2 Remake, which is just so big and expansive and fun. I have probably put more hours into that just trying to beat it over and over again purely for my own pleasure than I probably should have. I really should have moved on to other games, but I was so obsessed with trying to beat it on every difficulty and get an S rank and get all the unlockables and defeat all the freaking monsters in 80 different ways that already I cannot help but imagine the crazy potential of doing a straight up RE3 remake. Now I do want to say what I think is going to happen is they're going to do a big teaser trailer for the RE3 remake, but we probably won't see it for another 2 or 3 years. I actually personally believe that we'll see Resident Evil 8 come out before RE3 remake, but even still I definitely think that they're going to be trying to lay the groundwork for this game, and already I am so ready for it. I love Nemesis, I love the bad guys, I love everything about RE3, and seeing it come again in a full-blown remake like we got with Resident Evil 2 is completely my jam. And for that reason, I'm putting this at the very top of my list at the biggest and coolest sounding prediction of freaking E3 2019. But what do you think? Have you been actually looking into all this, and are you even excited for E3? Let me know your predictions in the comments down below and some of the stuff that you're wanting to see the very, very most. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Okay, I have to edit this video, and I'm actually might be getting to go play Borderlands 3 today, so expect a big video on that. Alright, I gotta go. Bye! Oh god, let's go! Oh god! Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.